Hello, I'm here to talk about Mario again, and I guess the first thing I wanted to say was, is Mario ahead? Like, is Mario just ahead? Like, in the beginning. We need to, okay, what are we talking about? We're going straight to the beginning of the game. The beginning of the game, basically, Mario 64, is Mario being ahead. He's literally just ahead, and you can play around with it to sort of prove that it's ahead. Okay. But the thing is that what could we see from this? Well, we could see from this that Mario, in a sense, is ahead. For the rest of the game, Mario, okay, on the one hand, his health bar is his head, right? So when his head has depleted, he dies. But also, we can tell, if we trace back to like other Mario games and past Mario games, Mario, in a sense, always has been his hat, right? His hat seems to be where his health is located. At least other games make this sort of observation or something, right? Like you lose your hat, or you hit an enemy and you lose your hat, and as a consequence you become tiny, and you've become less strong, less sort of physically vigorous, I suppose, right? Your body becomes tiny and less vigorous, less big, less sturdy, right? When you have the hat on, which in other games is synonymous with acquiring the mushroom, but who knows exactly what that means at the moment. But when you acquire the hat, you become big again. So the hat obviously is something that stands on the head. It can very often represent the head or highlight the head, right? So we get this sense, I think, that the head is very important. The head is like a place where health is located and where, therefore, life is located, right? Mario, another observation we could make is Mario has his initials on his hat, M. So that means that his identity, his name, is mainly located on his head, right? His head is his main identity. So, okay, that's a place to start from. It's this idea that there is something happening here that involves the head, right? Okay, so what is a head? What could we say about a head? Well, a head is on the top of the body. We could say that it's probably where a lot of our sense of identity does come from in our culture. Probably. Like, I imagine that's why, it's chosen as an important place, because the head, I think, in a lot of our accounts of what it is that we are, what we do, we seem to have this sense that the head is where consciousness resides or something, right? The head is where we are as observers, as people, right? And there are these ideas that somehow ideas that the soul resides in the pineal gland and things like this, right? That locate it in the head, and specifically, I suppose, in the brain. So you could say that culturally we tend to associate our location of ourself as the head. So in any case, it's funny that the game would place that as an important spot, because then it means it's focusing on consciousness. It's focusing on awareness in some way, as it is culturally understood, right? As it is culturally understood to be somehow located. So then it's funny, because what Mario is doing in this game specifically is also very visual. The game is focusing, I think, on the visual side of things, which would imply the head in the sense that it implies eyesight, the eyes. Because on the one hand, it's a game about looking at paintings, right? So you're looking at these paintings in order to enter them. Or to put in other words, the worlds themselves are represented by paintings, which are usually things that you would look at, right? It's a type of art that you would look at. And so, yeah, so anyway, these are sort of some of the themes that are floating around. You're looking at things. And so looking is something that is, again, usually seen as being located in the head. So I wonder if maybe when Mario loses life, he loses his hat or he loses strength, it might be because he is losing awareness. He's losing consciousness or perception, eyesight in some way. And when he gains life, he's gaining in awareness or in eyesight, maybe. And this could be why you're collecting stars as the important sort of object that you collect, because stars are also, basically like the sources of all light in our universe, usually as we understand this. So they would also, in some way, I suppose, be connected to seeing things, because you see more things if there is more light in some way, right? If things are darker, then you see less clearly. It's some sort of visual metaphor of this. So I wonder if that's what's going on, that somehow Mario is collecting stars, gaining more awareness, more light. And so in that way, there is something about his head that is being located, like everything is being located around his head. His head somehow is the important spot where all of this is being located. So, well, I suppose there's a few things we've begun to discuss, and it's the idea that Mario somehow has something to do with eyesight, and what that could entail for the rest of the game. So, clearly, there is some connection that I'm constantly trying to work out between this and the Boos in the Haunted Mansion level, right? So, yeah, this level, a Big Boo's Haunt, is confusing to me because it seems to be related to the theme of seeing in some way. I want to try and figure out how. So the first thing is that it's filled with Boos, and Boos have this thing where they don't like it when you look at them, and they are comfortable or attack you when you don't look at them. Right? There is a theme of looking and a sort of shyness about being seen, a lack of desire to be seen. So that somehow is part of their character and needs to be exploited by Mario. Right? The part of their character has to do with seeing you. Right? Whenever they see you, they head towards you. I mean, that's a typical enemy thing. But then not being seen by you. Anyway, so the level also has Mr. Eyes, which are these enemies who are literally eyeballs. So again, in conjunction with the Boos, it kind of, heightens the sense that we're dealing with eyesight in some way. In this level, there is something about eyes and vision, seeing things. Then there are a few other things. The mansion itself seems to be decorated with eyes at different points of the mansion. As far as I can tell, there are railings that have eyes on them. So that's one thing. There are railings in this mansion that are decorated with eyes, right? So, why would you decorate it with eyes? I think it just adds to this sense that, okay, something about this whole mansion implies vision and being seen. Again, Mr. Eye, too. The whole point is that you have to avoid being seen by Mr. I, because being seen by Mr. I means being attacked by Mr. I. It's also funny, and this, I'm not sure how this relates to the Japanese version, but Mr. I is spelt as I in the sense of self, me, I. This is clearly some sort of a translation issue. Like, okay, so in Japanese it's omedama, which is just giant eyeball. Okay, so it's a license that the English translation kind of gave itself, and a slightly sort of like 90s thing too. But I find it funny that they're equating vision with awareness or consciousness too. And then, so what else do we have? So the house seems to be decorated with eyeballs. And as I was saying, it's like the giant eyeball sees you and hurts you. So there is a sense in which you hurt the boos when you see them, and the eyeballs hurt you when they see you. Vision hurts, or it's something that something doesn't want to be seen. There is an embarrassment, right? The boos aren't exactly hurt, it's more an embarrassment. There is something that doesn't want to be seen. Okay. And I think just what confuses me about this is, what exactly does this have to do with the trope of a haunted mansion, right? Because I don't usually associate haunted mansions with vision and being seen, right? There's something in this game that's associating these two concepts, and I find it fascinating. Another thing that apparently is interesting about this level is that it's the only level, according to the wiki, where the song that's playing doesn't play in any other level. I think most other levels share their music with some other level. So the same music will be played in two different areas. This is the only one that's like independent. I find that interesting and important, but I suppose we can go back to that. Anyway. And this is maybe just a silly detail. I'm not sure if it really isn't that important, but the mansion itself has two red kind of windows or flames or something on its entrance, which makes it look as if it is a face. So it's the trope of the scary house that looks like a scary face, but because the eyes are highlighted in red, again, it just seems as if it has something to do with seeing, with the eyes and vision. It's interesting also that it's a full moon, right? Clearly it's a full moon and it's nighttime, but a full moon is a time when things are very clearly seen, right? So the full moon illuminates the whole countryside. It's the moment when there will be most kind of light at night in that way. So, traditionally in folklore, it would be a moment when a lot of unseen things could be seen, right? So you would get in touch with ghosts and spirits and things like that. So maybe there is also this theme. Maybe that's why it's a haunted mansion, because it's a mansion where things that are usually in the darkness, like ghosts and so on, come out into the light. Things that weren't seen before, that were invisible and hidden, suddenly become visible and non-hidden. Suddenly, all these tropes kind of come to light or something. So maybe there is an aspect of this in why it has to do with vision. I don't know.